Hi, thanks for tuning into my official YouTube channel. I'm Reverend MeeLing. I've been known by a few names. Reverend MeeLing, Reverend Susan MeeLing, Susan MeeLing, Lady Dori, Belle, Lady MeeLing. Quite a few others. Now I'm going to continue on in reference to my short book, Finding the Silver Lining, written by me, Susan MeeLing, for clarification in regards to a few things. So, I have discussed certain aspects in regards to my particular political views in so many different ways. I actually explained this many times over about how I look like I'm a liberal, but I'm a Republican. Been a Republican many years. I had so many individuals that just did not want to understand. So, I go into UC in regards to, and then that page, and that page, so that way there's some clarifications. So, in reference to UC, I'm going to go into a little bit of a detail that has to do with the BDSM LGBTQP swinger lifestyle. And while there are plenty of individuals that are capable of doing those pick up and play, one night stand sort of things in those various ways, I am not one of those. Now, in reference to the BDSM aspect, that is because I know my strength. I knew my strength back then. And I knew my strength to the level of the few times that I played in the state of Texas before Washington State, which even then was quite minimal. I never fully got warmed up. Ever. Not in any offense towards anyone that I had played with. Just, one of those safety precautions. By a lot. You don't want to... Yes, the BDSM aspect, I am a dominant sadist. There's no denying that. However, I am ethical. I am moral. I am responsible. And so, even in regards to a female that I had played with in the Dallas area, she preferred to paint herself all green. And, even then, not warmed up at all. I actually had tools specifically made for her particular taste in what she enjoyed. And, the individual that was involved with that particular scene, meaning the male, not the other female, if he didn't complain and whine, and, I could have gone on for hours before I was actually warmed up. And then, continued on and on and on. However, that is what it is. Then, in reference to a different time that I had played, it had actually taken this particular individual quite a bit of time before asking if I would be interested in playing. And, it was with his particular, his wife now, in that regard. And nope, not warmed up. It was both times fantastically so much fun. However, in regards to if combining the two aspects together, I was almost about a tenth of a way warmed up. If to combine those two particular scenes in the level of which I can go, there are masochists out there that can understand that. I know that those two particular ones that I played with are, however, in that regard, for that understanding, I got made fun of by individuals that were like, "Ugh, you're just so safe," and it's like, because I know myself. And I know what happens, and I know I gotta do certain things, and I gotta be responsible, and yes, I know it's just so whatever. It's like, yeah, but nonetheless, I know my strength. And so those particular aspects and those two particular individual scenes, not even a tenth. Now that particular guy who had asked me in reference to us playing together with his now wife, it took him a while. And we had talked a whole bunch of times. And I had a feeling that he very much understood, that he could see how sadistic I am. Could just see it. He probably didn't even actually have to see my eyes to see and just be like, whoo. 1 + 1 is 2, and done. And that is that. And so, yeah. So in that regard, and it's not in any offense. Again, it's not. It's just one of those, I know my strength. I know how I am. And I also know myself in regards to what is called top high. And so, if I had actually gotten to the levels that I could get to, well, wouldn't have been able to drive. And so it was one of those, well, I'll just talk with people, and maybe they'll be, one day. Or I could just interrogate terrorists, and that would just be a whole different ball of wax. I'd have so much fun. I would. Don't deny that. I'd have so much fun. The aspects of that, though, would be, there are legal limitations in certain regards. That whole thing. And so, that would be a really good calling card when you think about it, right? If you really think it. So, then there's that. But yeah, that would be why I have been as I have when it comes to, I'll just talk with people. 'Cause it's safer. I know myself. I know how I am. I know how I can be. I know how hard I can swing. And every single tool that I had all those years ago, I tested them on myself first. And so, like earlier today, well, I guess technically yesterday, I decided, a few things, and then I got a little upset. And so I just simply punched the countertop, and I didn't hit it that hard, I didn't crack the stone the way I had with a cane I had dealt with in regards to a issue with N as in November 208 in the apartment complex I was living in Tacoma. However, I have cracked stone just by striking it. So, in regards to, you see, I guess you can see that I actually have been in quite a bit of self-control all these years, despite what some individuals wanted to think. And so, in reference to BBA, then there's that aspect of the little boy that didn't want to accept no for an answer, Kevin. And then there was, well, that's a different one. So in BBA, I was at Midnight Rodeo. And a few things happened a few different times. So one particular time, as per, I guess it had been a few times that I had gone in. It was when I had a roommate at the time, Alicia. And whatchamacallit, there was, I actually recognized her when I got to see her. I was so excited. I would give her coins for her grandmother, because she would collect the different, because the states were putting out all those different coin backings and stuff. So, you know, I don't drink alcohol, and at that time I was the designated driver, though as someone who doesn't drink alcohol, there's that. And so I just drank soda or coffee or whatever, and I'd give her quarters, so that way if it was a state that her grandmother had, you know, she could have that as a secondary or whatever, but if not, you know, she's able to get them. And so it's one particular night, this guy walks over, and all of this actually happened in one night, this particular stuff. So Alicia was just hammered. I mean, so drunk. Just, she had one of those pitchers, and it was glowing blue, and she had multiple ones of those. And I was like, oh, and this is before I ever knew that her dad was who her dad was, a Mustang. And so then, like, I was already proud of keeping that safety aspect, but ooh, so glad I took those extra precautions without knowing that. Nonetheless, just one of those. So, this guy goes near where we're talking, and he's this, you know, really tall. He's like maybe 6'2", 6'3", broad shoulders, probably 210, and he just comes over to where I'm at, and he's like, "Hey, hello." He starts running his mouth. I'm like, just get away, you know, I don't want to speak with you. He's like, no, I want it, you know, and it's like, oh, no. Scooch along. No. You may be tall, but, and so the guy was like, I'm this, I'm that, I did this tour, I did that tour, and blah, 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 and I'm looking at him, thank you for your service. However, no. So Alicia starts laughing because the guy is just like, look at my muscles, I'm so raw. And Alicia goes and says, so, you know, she's got some stuff in the trunk of her car. Don't say this. Just, no, don't do that. Like, because I had my tools in the back of my car. And so it was one of those, no. Shh. Don't. No. There are police officers nearby. And while some of them would be like, hi, nonetheless, it's no. And just, And so this big whatever guy, he's, you know, I'm so big and I'm so strong and I'm so badass. It's like, yeah, but you're not. And so, like, I'm not the type of individual that the more machismo you are, the more like, yeah, no, not at all. No, not at all. And so, because he just wouldn't accept no for an answer, I looked at him and I was like, if you want to go into who's, how low and how grrr, I have a snake that hangs lower on my knee, on my leg, than yours, and unraveled, I would guesstimate, it is much, much longer. And the guy was like, yeah, whatever, what do you mean? Well, Alicia thought I meant strap-ons, which, by technicalities. Nonetheless, I had capri pants on, and so I showed my snake Methuselah. And that did not go over well. That guy got really, really upset. The bouncers went and grabbed that guy and took him out of the smoking section. Then, shortly after that, Alicia went inside to go get more alcohol. It's like, oh, really, do you need to? Okay, whatever. So then, this other guy comes over to me and he goes, you look familiar. And I go, where would I know you from? And he said, were you ever stationed at Fort Sill, Oklahoma? Yeah, actually I was. And he almost looked like the drill sergeant that refused to let any of the females in the female area of the barracks, because there were 3 barracks that were male and 1 that was female. And he looked like the guy that wouldn't let anyone walk into the barracks area with their boots on. And the reason why I actually thought that is because I had remembered during basic training, I had actually gone up to him and I had asked him if he had ever been overseas. He kind of looked at you, have you ever been in an Asian country? And that drill sergeant at the time said, why would you ask me that? I said, well, I'm half Chinese. And so I was raised, where you have to take your shoes off at the door. And, you can wear house shoes, but, you can't wear your outside shoes inside. It prevents, dirty issues. And that drill sergeant and I spoke for a while, and he would, well, why would you, how old are you? Oh, I'm 17. What do you mean you're 17? I mean, I'm 17 years old. How did you join the army? I fought to be emancipated. And so that drill sergeant and I talked for a while. I don't remember his name, but we had talked for a while before, my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000. And so that particular guy at Midnight Rodeo actually looked very similar to that particular drill sergeant. And we talked for a little bit, but then the second Alicia showed up, he's like, well, I gotta go. I was going to ask him that. I didn't get to. So then later, because, it was just, okay, one thing after another. So then there was this guy. And he comes over to where Alicia is. And I had noticed them earlier that night. And they were all wearing these blue shirts. They popped their collar. And tell they were, certain type of whatever. And they are just focusing on Alicia. And I was like, all right, I gotta. She's just giggling and drunk and all that sort of stuff. And it's like, I don't think I will hurt you. And so there are these 4 boys, I mean, biologically adults, but, these 4 boys are just honing in on Alicia. And I'm just, no. I'm not okay with this. I'm not okay with this. And she's drinking more, and I can't stop her from drinking. She's, an adult at that point, and so, I can't. It's just like, so I'm leaning on the fence, and I had a silver, about 1-inch straps on each side, sweetheart, tank top that, you could kind of see a little bit of my belly, but not really much, and then shiny blue jeans at a country club. Anyway, so I'm leaning against, and I'm just watching as the males are interacting with Alicia. It's like, make a move. Don't recommend it. That's what I'm thinking in my head. It's like, don't recommend it. I'm watching you. Then I feel like I'm being looked at. And there is one of the four boys, and he is staring right there. And so I thought, well, maybe I'm overreacting. So I just kind of start going like this. With my elbows remaining on the fence line. And the guy, he goes, well, if you're offended, you could slap. And he didn't get to finish saying slap or me. He just said, got him. Left a handprint on his face. There were a group of guys off to the corner laughing. It's like, whoa. Ninja speed! It's like, you don't know. And so Alicia falls over off the table laughing hysterically. You gave her permission! You gave a dominant sadist permission to slap you? Stupid. And she's completely drunk. And it's like, sit up and stuff like that. Well, two of the males wind up going and picking up the one that, she slapped me. She really slapped me. I can't believe she slapped me. She slapped me. She really, really slapped me. She slapped me so hard. I mean, who would have thought that telling her that, she could slap me would mean that she'd slap me? I mean, I'm just so shocked. And so the two guys go and take him out to the car, and it's like, yeah, well, you asked if I was offended, and then, you gave me permission to slap you. So, literally. And so the other guy was like, oh, no, sorry about that. And had the pop collar, and Alicia's like, oh, that. Well, that guy had said that he was a part of the BDSM lifestyle. And he was from Crystal Lake, Illinois, or Lake in the Hills, or somewhere in Illinois. And he had a girlfriend at one point in time that introduced him to the lifestyle and all these different things. And I'm looking at him like, okay, well, wind up taking him to the Crossroads at Alicia's suggestion. That was a bad idea. So he goes with us to the Crossroads. And he is like, yo, what's up? And it's like, you really need to calm that down. You don't need to talk like that. And so a bunch of the guys at Crossroads, they're all, well, Lady Dori, Belle, how are you doing today? When did you get all poofy chest? Like, usually I see you give me hugs, and you where's this poofy chest coming from? Well, we want to know who this is. Oh, little poofy chest, you're so raw. Hug. And they're just like, yeah, poofy chest. So dominant. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. But why you all... I've never seen you go like this before. What is this? I could do it too. And they're just... What do we do with you? I'm doing it too. Look. A poofy chest. There's... Oh my God, Lady Dori. What? I saw poofy chest. Yeah. Okay, so go outside in the smoking session after a whole bunch of them are all, smoking section. I think that's the next aspect. Yeah, that. And so, yeah, I'm going into that and that. And so, the boy, that was Alicia's suggestion to go with to the... Just because he has gone to a big event doesn't mean it's the same as going to certain events. Just don't want to listen to me on that. Okay? Just saying. And so, there was a circle outside with a bunch of chairs. We're all sitting there, and probably about 20, 25 people. And this guy, he's just yip, 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 yip. And I'm thinking, ouch, Alicia, why? And she's doing her stuff with other stuff. And this guy, I'm literally babysitting. And he goes and he said, the guy said that he was a part of the KKK in Illinois. I look over at him and I was like, did you just literally tell me you were a part of the KKK? You disgust me. And the guy was like, oh, come on, you're from Illinois too. No, I'm from New Jersey. I was born and raised in New Jersey. We didn't have that in New Jersey. In New York, did not have that. In Illinois, I thought that, Chicago would be where I could, be okay. And in the few times that I'd been there, I had. However, what are you talking about? Like, where I was in Crystal Lake South, yeah, there were some people that, called me out on certain things, but it was just one of those, And I handled those situations. I laid out this guy named Nick Robinson, flat out whooped him. And so, what do you mean you're a... And so, in San Antonio, a bunch of the people were just like I was, what? And so, he wouldn't shut his mouth. He wouldn't stop. And what's the big deal? This is Texas. Oh, no. Oh, no. No. And so then, real quick, he goes, you said you were from New Jersey. Yeah, but I woke up in Texas after my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000. And so you are not going to run your mouth about the state of Texas and automatically assume that just because it's below the Mason-Dixon line, that all of a sudden, no. And the guy was just, why are you so offended? Because I am, and I'm not the only one. Every single individual in this yard right now, do you notice how everyone over there stopped speaking because you said those 3 letters? What is wrong with you? A lot is the answer. And he goes, wait, no, I was going to respond. No, I didn't give you permission to respond. That is why I answered for you. Because obviously there is a lot wrong with you to come into the state of Texas, run your mouth like that, and think that it's acceptable. And by the way, not everybody in the state of Illinois is like you. So don't get that misconflated in that regard. And you're kind of a mean dominant. And at that point, everybody started laughing a lot because it was mean and dominant and sadist and Lady Dori Belle, ta-da! And not that was said, but it was just one of those duh sort of things. So I went to go inside. Well, he followed me, and it's I am going to devour your soul. And he looked at me and he goes, ha ha, that's so funny. Yeah, I'm not joking. I'm going to leave you as an empty vessel. And it was as we were walking from the stairs area through that thin hallway into the commons area. He's like, no, you don't know. You don't know I'm going to devour your soul. I'm going to devour your soul. And he was just, that is, who would have thought that, you'd be so, mean. And it's I'm being nice right now. Either you stop or I'm going to show you. And, you know, we're just going to do it. And so he was just, whatever, and he kept following me. So I went into the common area, and he is running his mouth in the common area. And all these people in the common area were all trying to watch, you know, the saline thing going on. And this guy, yip, 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 like a little punting dog. And so, you know, yip, 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 yip. And I am just fuming. Shut up, little boy. Just shut up. Shut up. And so he had said at one point in time that he was an ex-Marine. I had to actually clarify. I was like, I thought it was former Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine. No, ex-Marine. So you got dishonorably discharged? No, I'm an ex-Marine. Which didn't make sense to me at that time. I acknowledge. Nonetheless. Yip, 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 yip. Yip, 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 yip. It's just... So there's a bunch of people that are in the commons area, and, you know, why are you running your mouth? And so I look over and I go, hey, I don't mean to interrupt your scene right now. I know I'm technically doing that, but it is for her safety. And he just, okay. It is, you will understand it, and I have a feeling you will appreciate it. And he goes, you don't, oh, okay. So he stopped the saline thing, and he's like, go ahead. Like, you got my attention. And so everybody in the commons area, which very big room area. And I go, excuse me, everybody here, and you guys in the hallway coming around wherever that led to. You come here. I got this thing. I got a joke. And everyone's like, okay, Lady Dori, Belle, that's different. Okay. You got our attention. What's going on? So a bunch of people, and the guy, he's all, yeah, you know, cool. Whatever, and I'm just, I'm gonna devour your soul. I'm gonna devour your soul, like, in front of everybody. And that's what I'm thinking in my mind. It's just one of the, I'm gonna so devour your soul. And so initially I asked him, do you have anything you want to say? Giving him an opportunity to apologize to everybody. Yip, 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 yip. That was not what I was looking for. I have a joke. And so everybody was like, okay, Lady Dori, Belle, usually you just, you know, speak and then, you know, like some stuff's funny and, you know, can't believe she just said that, but, you know, some stuff's funny. But you never are like, I got a joke. So, like, what is this joke? This particular boy right here, but I'm getting to it. He, and I don't care. You. And so I said, does anybody know what sound is made when shit? And the boy goes, you calling me shit? I'm not done. Does anybody know what sound is made when shit hits the fan? Everybody, do you know it? And guy was doing the same, just, Lady Dori, Belle, what? I said, you know, shit. Mike goes, I look at the boy and I said, the sound that shit makes when it hits the fan is marine. And that guy just, and you could just see the life drain from his eyes. You could see just him just melting, like right there, like, and didn't know what. And he then stomps his foot and he's like, that was mean. I'm going to go tell my friend to pick me up and get me out of here. Good. Bye. And so, you know, a bunch of people were laughing. So if you want to go back to that saline thing, I hope that he laughing so hard he started like, I've heard some jokes. That's just whoo. Okay, I will go outside, go smoke now. Bye, guys. That's what you get for, you know. Anyway, so, you know, later, in regards to a different country club in that regard, there was the other stuff. However, and I've already done the videos in reference to that in regards to Lobo and all that. However, yeah, I had pretty much essentially dealt with quite a few things in that regard. And so that particular boy, he had told me that the house that they were staying at was his friend, one of the 4 that were there at Midnight Rodeo or another point, something, and he was in a relationship with the parents of the house's daughter, and whatchamacallit, he was essentially cheating on their daughter while living in their house. I was like, I don't think so. Left it on their windshield. And then later he was like, did you do that? And a part of it was no, because there were certain aspects which he brought up, which no, I didn't do that. That part, yes, I did. The part of it that he was asking about, no, I didn't do that, because he had accused me of calling, and it was like, no, I didn't call them. I left my number, though, for them to call me if they wanted any clarification. And so he was extremely upset, and I was like, well, you know, don't do that. Her parents were nice enough to let you stay at their house, expecting that you would respect not only their house, but their daughter. And so, no. And while, you know, whatever, you know, certain aspects, that guy was infuriated. I didn't care. It's one of those, yeah. So he called me a bunch of names in person. It was one of those, yeah. I've been called a lot worse by a lot better in so many ways. And unlike you, maybe, don't do this. I actually respected them. And you are just you. And he was very upset by that. And I was like, I don't care. So, in that regard, you know, although I thought that I had stuff in reference to Cactus Jack, also known as Jeffrey Kuykendall Jr., in the Finding the Silver Lining book, in reference to the aspects of the lawyer. I thought that that was in there. I don't know why that's not in there. So I'm going to close with that. So Cactus Jack, also known as Jeffrey Kuykendall Jr., had said, like, all the different aspects in reference to the 151 Road Warrior, all that garbage stuff. And he was, as I've described before and discussed before, and I'm sure that there has to be some sort of evidence somewhere about that. Not just the World War II reenacting thing in regards to the Nazi side, but also, you know, the fact of the points where had caused these different people to get together with military vehicles and all that sort of stuff to encircle the city of San Antonio during the fiesta thing in San Antonio, Texas. And I told him repeatedly, you sound like a terrorist. You sound like nonetheless, the point that I had put in, I thought I had put it in Finding the Silver Lining, had to do with what the lawyer said, because I was told about the court case. I was told about a lot of stuff. And in that regard, he had told me that he went through the drunk tank area, and then afterwards they had made their call to their mom, which meaning Jeffrey Kuykendall Jr. and Jeremy Kuykendall Jr., the two brothers, where they had already prearranged stuff, where they already knew that just in case they needed to have whatever, their mom's friend had whatever lawyer in regards to being able to bail them out and stuff like that. And that was not the funny part. The funny part was he had told me that all of the regalia was confiscated. I was like, good. I'm glad they confiscated it. And he was mad that I agreed with the San Antonio police officers for confiscating that. However, he had gotten the lawyer to fight to get stuff back after getting him out of jail and all, or prison, or no, jail, because it was the difference between jail and prison. And so the aspects of, you know, he thought it was funny in this regard and all that sort of stuff, I was like, I don't find that funny, I don't find that funny. However, when it came to the e-tool, he wanted the e-tool back. And so he went and made a list in regards to the stuff that the San Antonio police officers were keeping. And I agreed, and I got in trouble for agreeing. It was like, I don't care. I don't care at all. Like, it is what it is. There's probably somebody who has a Hebrew background or had somebody who was in the military who did stuff, and you're in the city of San Antonio, so you got like all sorts of military guys. Again, you are lucky you weren't like sniped from a hill. There's so many places. And you do me, I don't care. And so he had already prearranged with the lawyer in that regard. He already told all of the stuff to the lawyer and all that stuff. That's why it was so quick for them to get out of jail. That's why the lawyer had shown up so quickly to get Cactus Jack, also known as Jeffrey Kuykendall Jr., and Jeremy Kuykendall out of prison. Or jail. That's why. It wasn't like they called a bail bondsman. It wasn't like they called, you know, just any lawyer. It was someone that they had already prearranged in that sort of way. And, whatchamacallit, the lawyer had been given a list of the inventory of the stuff that Cactus Jack, also known as Jeffrey Kuykendall Jr., had wanted back. And the lawyer had gotten to the point of various different ones, but when he brought up the aspects of the e-tool, you know, the judge told the lawyer, well, what's he going to do? Bury dead bodies with it. And the lawyer asked, is it illegal to bury dead bodies? And so I thought that was funny because, well, you got a bunch of caretakers, and that's part of their job. I mean, they don't usually use an e-tool, but they, you know, it's funny, you know, lawyer play on words sort of thing, you know, that legal thing. And I can appreciate that. Nonetheless, just that point. But yeah, as far as Cactus Jack was concerned, specifically Cactus Jack, also known as Jeffrey Kuykendall Jr., because his mom was in the North Side San Antonio bus driver dispatcher. So they were able to use different I guess something like of the radio stuff. And then his dad was a mechanic, so he had like the ability to speak with the different San Antonio police officers and find out stuff as far as the San Antonio Fiesta thing, and getting the moonlighting stuff as far as who is going to be where when. And so they had done a whole bunch of planning in that regard. And since Cactus Jack, also known as Jeffrey Kuykendall Jr., had been in ROTC, or Reserve Officer Training Corps, and that main aspect of the Loop 1604, in reference to getting all 5 of the military bases, as well as encircling the campus for UTSA. You know, he had gone on in that regard. And so in reference to this, I thought that I had put that one little excerpt in reference to the lawyer and what the lawyer said. I guess I missed it, or I didn't put it in there. Nonetheless, I also do know that in the big book, in specific, I did put, so like let's say Cactus Jack, also known as Jeffrey Kuykendall Jr., was upset because of the aspects in reference to the where is it? The well, here really quickly for my ex-in-laws, here is the duty assignments of my dead ex-husband, and you can see that he wasn't stationed in certain locations, and that's a whole other aspect. However, the specific point in reference to Cactus Jack, also known as Jeffrey Kuykendall Jr., wanted his name in the San Antonio Express News article. And he had told the lawyer in regards to how the name was spelled here. And so if hypothetically that had something to do with me being asked questions, I would have just answered that so easily. Not being rude. Not at all. Not being rude. Just, you know, if I was literally asked, do you know anything about the 151 thing? I would have, like, told them instantly about that. Like, I would have. So I do apologize. I wasn't trying to be, like, a problem. Although I guesstimate at this point in time, that's kind of been figured out in that regard. I'm ornery. No denying that. I do what I can to keep my temper down because of the additional pain levels. I don't deny that either. But yeah, no, if I was just simply asked about the 151 thing, yeah, I would have answered it right away. I'm kind of like, I know I'm a little bit weird and a little bit complex. However, I do try to make things as simplistic as possible. So, yeah. And even my biological sister, Patricia, had said that she was surprised that Cactus Jack, also known as Jeffrey Kuykendall Jr.'s name was in there. And she said, well, aren't you afraid of how that looks? And I looked at her and I said, well, he had to have his name in there. He wanted to have that sort of stuff. And, you know, the news reporter was, you know, doing the freedom of the press thing. So, I mean, granted, he probably didn't understand the specifics in that regard at that time. Though I did send that to, you know, the San Antonio Express News. After registering it with the Library of Congress. I thought, you know, sending it to the Library of Congress meant, you know, the Congress. And so, yeah. And I thought also I put in there the aspects, although it could have been in there because of my issues with memory stuff. The aspects of the Excalibur Fair. The last year, it was in the Bastrop County, and that whole thing. of being surrounded by 5 guys with like a bunch of weapons. And then, you know, them talking smack about my wings. I handled that. You know, within reason. By technicalities. Yeah. I just think, yeah. I was nice. And I don't mean Anna nice. I mean, I was genuinely nice compared to what I could have done. So, you know, see, that comes all the way around in that regard of, you know, I know my strength. And it's not that I want to test that, realistically. Although at this point, I guesstimate it's pretty much been tested a few times without, like, me knowing that I was being tested. You know, that whole scuba diving thing. That whole landing at the bottom of the ocean and surfacing. Apparently, you know, I mean, I knew that there's like a lot of pressure, you know, the further you go down in the ocean. I knew that. I don't really understand the math, though. I don't understand that math. That's that cognitive thing. And having gone from college algebra with trigonometry and calculus to 2nd grade math. That's probably what that is. And so I know how to do other stuff. Just, you know, not the same way. No. So you guys have a good one. And that concludes Finding the Silver Lining by Susan MeeLing. Have a good one.